Hello, dreamers and thinkers, and welcome back to another episode of Undone. Stop with the silly faces. On today's episode, I am joined by. Do you want me to say full name, nickname? What is
Oh my
Rumbie
God, just say
Zai?
Rumbie. Just say Rumbie.
Rumbie Mudzengi. For those of you who do not know, she is a mental health advocate and community leader based in Perth, soon to be Melbourne. Amen. She
You
He
might as
is
well.
a speaker, MC, co-author, makeup artist, and the CEO and founder of Anakaglam. Well, actually, Anaka and Co is the Instagram name, but Anakaglam is the business name. On Instagram, Ruby, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, not the serious voice. I know you was a clown and
I
you out here
don't
talking
know
about hi,
what.
everybody.
Okay, hi. Could I stop it?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I take it back. I take it back.
Okay, wait, let me
Okay.
do it again.
So before we get started, as you can see, this is about to be an episode of foolishness. Before we get started, unpopular opinions. Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Please go first.
Okay. Mine was actually inspired by a video I posted today. I don't know if you've had time to see. But my unpopular opinion is I think men who can dance are an ick. I say this because I just I'll keep it okay. In the video, she's talking about you go to a house party, it's you and your man, you go to the kitchen to get yourself a drink or like a little snack, and all you hear is, hey, 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 hey. You turn around, it's your man in the middle of the dance circle. I said, I agree. It couldn't be me. It could not be me. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. We
See,
call
I
them circle.
like that.
No, see, we call them circle starters. Like you go somewhere and the person wants to be the one who says, make the circle bigger, make the circle bigger. And then they hop in the middle of the circle and start dancing. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Like you'd be able to dance, but I think there's something to be said about a circle starter or someone who knows how to really take all the attention when everyone is like in that kind of environment. And I don't want it. It's an ick. So that's my unpopular
Okay,
opinion.
okay. I feel like at this point, anything that they do is definitely an E for women these days because what do you mean?
I saw this meme that was like, see
It's
how many,
just
I've never met a person that
dancing.
doesn't like Mr. Bean. See what happens when men don't talk?
Y'all need to stop doing them like that.
I said, wow, that's crazy. Okay, what's your unpopular opinion? Since I shared mine and I'm probably
Oh
definitely
my
gonna get
God. Well, mine's a bit more serious because the other one was a bit more. Should I do my other one? The one that I told you?
I like okay, I want to hear both. What's the one that you're wanting to change to?
Uh, the other one is very grown up and very mature, you know? So, my unpopular opinion is that it is impossible to heal outside communities and relationships.
Yes, that is also my unpopular opinion. I
But I feel
agree.
like it's very mature, you know what I mean? I feel like yours was very fun and like lighthearted, and then we've just gone,
We've gone. I mean, you can do your other one. Your other one is in the same theme and vibe.
the other one's a bit problematic. Let's just move on. It's fine. That's my unpopular opinion. I think it's incredibly difficult or almost impossible, in my opinion, to heal outside community and relationships.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Because then it's like, are you healed or are you just in a situation where you don't
No,
have to exercise?
you're just isolated, my dear. As soon as
Yeah.
you get around people, those triggers are going to re-trigger you and you're back to square one.
And you access square when you're thinking, I thought I dealt with this. Mm-mm. You did
Yeah.
not. Mm-mm. I
Yes, that is
fully agree. That
my
was a mature one. I like that. I
right.
like that.
It was. It sets the tone for our conversation. Not really.
Oh, I think it definitely will. I think it definitely will be a
Okay.
part of it.
All right. I guess we're mature
So
then. We'll be mature girlies.
she
Yes.
said, when I was thinking of interviewing you, first of all, we have had a whole running notes list of like different topics that you and I could discuss.
Yes.
But then I remembered how I first like heard about you before we became friends. And it was
Yes.
because it was in 2020, you were going viral everywhere. Like
Huh?
it would just be my
I don't think
algorithm.
I went viral, but okay.
You Okay, again, it could just be in my algorithm, but you were going viral because you had just appeared on the news for the makeup workshop empowerment classes that you
Yeah,
had just well, yeah, that you just ran in Perth and like it was the first of its
yeah,
kind. And obviously at that time a lot of the news articles were picking up stuff like that because they're trying to be like, look, we're not
yeah.
racist. Um and exactly, power to the people. And I was like, oh, she's cool. I like this. I'm here for this. Also, why is this groundbreaking? Like, why wasn't this already happening? Why do makeup artists not get taught how to do black skin anyway? Like, I'll never forget going to a Mac counter. And so obviously
Girl.
I'm watching all the British and US girlies, and I'm like, okay, I think my undertone is what? And she's like, what's an undertone? And I was like, one of us is a professional and it's not me. What are you talking about?
I'm not the one getting paid to do this work.
You should be telling me what the undertones are. Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I was like, oh, I feel like I want to talk about your journey in whatever that one is, the
Mm.
English word,
Yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
one, and representation. So I feel like a good place to start is is in 2020 when Anaka was born, or is that when you like re-envisioned it? Like, what was the conception story for Anaka?
No. Anaka was born, I was about 18 or 17. So this was quite literally shortly after our year 12 ball.
Mm,
No, year 10 ball actually, year 10 ball. So year 10 ball, we went and first got our makeup done. I remember trying to get my makeup done and trying to find somewhere I could get my hair done. Could not find anywhere.
yeah.
So I've not kept those pictures because they looked that ridiculous. And I remember I went to Priceline and I was trying to find foundation, could not find foundation. I ended up buying the old foundation that all the black girls used to wear, which was the Dreamworld. Was it Dreamworld? I think it was Dreamworld, if I'm not mistaken, and it was like a mousse foundation. And we all used to wear the same shade despite being different shades.
Different
So I went,
colors.
I bought that. When the pictures came back, it was shocking. I just looked very shocking. And
I
I
have
remember
a
like
Shona word in mind. I don't know how you translate it. You
which
can
one was
translate
it?
it. Bakutonge chipoko.
Exactly. I looked like a ghost. I
Oh,
looked
okay.
like a
There you go.
chipoko. It was so bad. Like I literally looked like a chipoko. But that was the foundation that me and my friends used to use. And even if I show you, my friends and I up until today were completely different shades, but all five, six of us were, using that one foundation. You would go into Priceline every now and then, wouldn't be able to find it because it was the only one remotely close to what would work on dark skin. But
Mm,
that same summer, I got interested in makeup and I literally started. Now that I actually look back on it, I think I was going through it a little bit. And because I'm a creative, I was looking for a way to sort of express myself,
yeah.
and I was already doing that with hair. I was already doing that with clothes. So for me, I guess the next step was just makeup. I got onto YouTube. I started watching YouTube videos. And I remember just saying to myself, like, oh, I'd love to be a makeup artist. I'd love to be like a YouTuber and create makeup content and be like I think back then we had like the Goldie, Jackie Aina,
Yes.
Shayla. Those were like the people that we were watching. So that summer, I started learning how to do makeup. I still have the pictures on Facebook, and I'll do makeup and I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post it on Tumblr. And people just started liking it, and people sort of started hiring me to do their makeup.
Yeah.
The first client that I had, I will never forget, that paid me about $300.
Oh my goodness.
It was two girls that were going to their year 11 or year 10 ball. So it was now the following year. So they were going to the year 10 ball.
Oh,
So
that you
I
had
went
just gone
out
to.
that I just gone to. So went out, did their makeup, also did their hair, and they were just so happy. And I'm pretty sure I was the first makeup artist in Canberra at that time, the first black makeup artist in
Yeah.
Canberra at that time. And then I decided that I was going to open up a beauty store at some point. I thought I was going to open up a salon. The following year, I then created Anaka, but it wasn't solidified at that time. I just
Yeah.
sort of thought of it, put it down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I will learn how to do makeup. didn't really know where to learn, went through year 11, year 12. And then after year 12, that holiday, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I started picking up a little bit more clients. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started.
Dang. Okay, so this is part of
Yeah.
your early hustling story. Because I've heard about the
Yes.
early hustle years. I'm now putting the pieces together.
You're like, oh, is that what we were? Is that what we're doing?
That's what we were doing. So how old were you when you started doing those girls' makeup? Like, how old were you at the
So
time that you did their makeup?
when I did the makeup, how old was I? I would have been 18. I'm really bad with years, but I would have been 18, 17 or 18.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
would have been year 11 or year 12.
Okay.
So around 17, 18 there.
And at that point in time, were you like business savvy enough to have like a mission, vision, all that kind of stuff for Anaka? Or was it just like, there's a need, I'm good at this, and this is something I want to do?
I had a vision in the sense of what I was picturing in my head, but I didn't have a vision in the sense of, okay, I've actually written things down and this is step by step how I'm going to do it. But what for me the advantage is I do come from a very entrepreneurial family. My dad was always in business. Some of my tetes were in business as well. So even growing up, my tete had a salon. So I kind of got to see that environment. The only thing was when I came to Australia, I didn't quite understand how everything would fit into play because none of it looked the same way that it looked back home. So I do talk about this in the book that I took part in writing. I talk about how back
Please plug the
home,
title. What was the book called?
the title is Curiosity Killed the 9 to 5.
Per. Continue.
Yes.
So in the book you co-authored.
Yeah, so in the book that I co-authored, I talk about how back home I had a clear picture of how I was going to end up like getting into either like selling clothes or selling beauty products because I'd seen what that looks like. But when I came to Australia, I couldn't see that anymore. So I didn't have a clear vision in the sense of, okay, this is step one, two, three, what I'm going to do. What I did have was like a mental vision. That's why I talk a lot about vision boards because that's what I
Yeah.
had in my head. I knew
Yeah.
what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to do something to do with styling. And then as a stylist, I would do makeup, I would do hair, and I'd be like a triple threat. But I didn't have it right down on paper and in steps as well.
Yeah.
First, the first year was a year of expression for me.
Mm.
If you've heard me in the past talk about church and church trauma, when I started wearing makeup, it was heavily looked down on, and there was a lot of, labeling because I liked makeup and I liked to wear my hair in a certain way and I like to wear color, clothes in a certain way. So I think the first few years were me breaking out of my shell through makeup. I think that's what I was doing, which is why
Oh,
my journey has been so personalized and so entwined with my own personal life. So the first few years for me was about breaking out, finding my freedom of expression because I never had that, and also coming from a culture where that's not accepted. Well, at that time anyway, it wasn't accepted. It was looked down on. You're looked on as if you're a whore or you're about to steal people's husbands because you're
yeah.
wearing makeup, you're wearing a red lipstick. And then going into now a new culture where I don't even get to play in makeup because you're black. It's not for you. So
Yeah.
I was trying to break out of both of those worlds. I don't know how to describe it in any other way than that. But I think for me, I was breaking out of this one world that wouldn't allow me, and then breaking into the other world that would not allow me as well. So I'll say those were the first few years. And then the second year was probably, I don't know how to title it, but the next phase for me was me, I guess, breaking my own glass ceilings
Mm,
because I did things that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do. It started off with me moving to Perth. I went and did the course. The course was absolutely shit. They didn't teach me anything that was
yeah.
valuable to my journey at all. And then, so I went from there to creating Anaka, creating my own thing, going out there, setting prices, going out getting clients, going out and doing fashion shows, going out and doing magazine covers, magazine imprints, going out and doing. There's a lot of stuff that I ended up doing just in those few years. So I think that part was me breaking my own glass ceilings. And then once my glass ceiling was broken, it then came into, okay, what's the vision behind Anaka? What's the legacy behind Anaka? What do I want to leave in? And this is where you saw me trying to do the empowerment stuff, trying to
Yeah.
now take something that I felt I was good at and using it as a vehicle to show other girls, like, yeah, you can wear makeup, like, you can, like, there's nothing wrong with us as Black women or Black young women feeling good about ourselves to a point where you want to do your makeup a certain way, you want to do your hair a certain way. So I think those have probably been the three main stages,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Um, when you were speaking, made a note. So you
Mhm.
talk about finding the clients, doing the like runways, all that kind of stuff, which is like in hindsight now, you can list off those things. But at the time, I guess this will be a two-part question. How easy was it to find those opportunities? And oh, I feel like I already know the answer to your second question, to the second question, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Okay.
How did you keep going to continue to like push through those ceilings? Because it's a thing of like, because it's a glass ceiling, you think there's only one, you break through the first one, you're like, there's another one a couple feet above it. Damn, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep going. So like,
Mm-hmm.
what was your driving force? There we go. What was your driving force to keep pushing through and to keep going after all those opportunities? Considering at that point in time, I think the beauty industry here for Black women would have been even more hostile than what we know it to be now.
Yeah. So the first question, how easy was it to find those opportunities? I will be honest and say that God has really made a way out of nothing for
Yeah,
me over and over and over again. I had luck on my side and I had God on my side. I had people that were able to open up those opportunities for me and make, like, sort of really, I don't know what it was, but it was people really stood behind Anaka and people would always speak highly of Anaka, which I was really grateful for.
yeah,
And that's what created those continuous opportunities for me. I always say this, it's not something to be proud of, but it is something that I'm mentally proud of. I've never advertised my business. I've never had to claw my way into getting opportunities. They genuinely just came in because I think, well, not I think, I am good at what I do.
yeah,
And those relationships that I was building at that time really kept on bringing in those opportunities. So I was lucky with that. Now, to your second question, what kept me going? I think for me, I saw an opportunity and I ran with it. I really saw, for me, Anaka is bigger than what it is right now in my
yeah,
head. It's way bigger, and there's more that I'm hoping that I can achieve through it. So for me, because the vision was so big, it was just like, okay, let's get to the next thing. Let's get to the next thing. Let's get to the next thing. I never
yeah,
stopped. I don't even think I ever stopped to celebrate those mini milestones that I ticked. Did not see them. I was not concerned. I've just been moving because I know where it's supposed to end and what it's supposed to physically look like and
yeah.
what it's supposed to do. So that was the driving force for me and still is.
I love that. Actually, you answered that second question a little different to what I thought you would.
Oh, why? What do you think I was gonna
I
say?
fully thought you were just in my head. I was like, you're the kind of person who just
Yeah.
is stubborn about what they want out of
Oh
life, and
yeah.
you're just going to keep going. And
Yeah.
so, in as much as like when I was in my head, when I was like, oh, this is a question I want to ask, I was also like, I feel like this will probably be along the line.
No, it is. It is. I am stubborn. I do know what I want. And like I said, I guess the stubbornness is within what I've said, where I know what it's meant to look like. I've
Yeah,
had that vision for so long. Even when I was younger, I always said I wanted to do something specific with my life. And for me, Anaka is the vehicle for me to get to that, or one of the vehicles for me to get to that thing. So I didn't care what nobody had to say. I didn't
Mm,
care who was going to close doors for me. I didn't care what anybody was saying. I've had people, I remember one time this man told me how, oh, I don't think it's embarrassing for your parents that you say you don't want to go to uni and you want to become a makeup artist. Like, what's that about? Like, that's embarrassing. You should not be doing that. And yes, you say that, and that absolutely hurt. I had somebody like a pastor pray for me once. I mean, my parents had told them, but it is what it is. And even those hurdles being in front of me, I didn't care
yeah,
because for me, I had prayed for something, and when God delivered Anaka, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to run with it and I'm going
that's
to
it. Thank
go with
you.
it.
Yeah,
So I was just stubborn enough to go, well, I don't care about anything else. This is what I want. This is what I'm sticking on. This is what I'm going with. So,
yeah,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, from hearing you speak, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like the things that made Anaka successful and had you being mentioned in rooms that you weren't a part of were your work ethic and like just like your quality of work. Um, and the fact that you're very relational. So like people liked you.
yeah. I think all those three things have both been positive and negative
Mm,
in where Anaka is. It plays on both sides, but I do think that it has been more stabilizing than it has been negative. So the positives have really made it a stable brand that
mm,
could overcome certain things and overcome the negatives. But yes, you're definitely correct. Those are the three main things.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, are you willing to share like a story of a time when those things have kind of worked against you?
Absolutely. I think when I went through my mental breakdown, I did lose a lot of clientele, obviously, because I shared and was very open about what I was going through. And not just that as well. When you're sharing on social media, sometimes you're not thinking about how what you're sharing might reflect back to people, what those people might think of. So when I did become very vocal and sharing a whole lot of stuff, a lot of my clientele then fell off because I think who I was at that time and what I was sharing didn't align with who they'd initially met as Rumbie the makeup artist. So that's
Yeah,
one. Two, I there were certain, sometimes when you are too close to people, oh excuse me, that can come with a lot of disrespect. So I've been disrespected in ways where I know for a fact if I wasn't me and if I wasn't heavily focused on relationships, etc., this would have never happened.
yeah.
But I guess, some of these things are just painful lessons. I've had people that I worked for who never paid me. They owe me so much money and just decided that they were not going to pay me. I've had people that I worked for on the day, a client up until now have not gotten paid my money. So, like I said, there's positives, but it also does come with negatives. But the only thing I'm grateful for is the what has been positive has
Yeah,
been stable enough for it to sort of outweigh the negatives and keep me going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, just to sidetrack kind of a little bit. You know
Yeah.
how people who are like hairdressers say that their chairs are basically like therapy chairs? Did
Yes.
you find that that was the case for you? And that then when you were now sharing openly about your own mental health struggles, people like it felt, what's the word, confronting for people?
I think so. I look, at the end of the day, these are my assumptions based on my own assessment. I can't say anybody has ever openly come into my face and said, "Whoop, this is too much." But I do think, just from my own assessment, yes, that has been the case. I think it
Mm,
has been confronting for some people, but I also think, just in general as well, when you speak openly on social media, it has no direction. If I say, can I speak in Shona or it only
yeah,
has to be
no,
in
go ahead.
English? Okay.
We'll
If I
translate.
say, vanhu mapenzi,
Mm,
you knowing me could take that and be like, Rumbie called me a Benzi today on social media. When for
yeah,
me it was just vanhu mapenzi. So I
yeah,
think even in my lack of maturity in sharing my voice and my story openly, I do think maybe there could have been things that I would have shared where somebody might have taken that wrongly or read too much into what I've shared when I'm just sharing and
yeah,
I'm just sharing whatever on that day. Shade Room says something, I decide, okay, I'm going to talk about it. And somebody picks that up and feels offended or feels some type of way. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's a conversation for a whole other day because I fight this battle often in my head where I'm like, my social media platform is mine. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to have a good time on it. I want to kiki. I want to, and like, there are some jokes. I feel like I exercise more wisdom now, but there are some jokes that
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, if you miss it, you miss it. If you take me
Yeah.
seriously, you took me seriously. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually not going to go out of my way to explain how that was like a joke or sarcasm or whatever. But then also the other part of me is like, should I practice more like being responsible with this
Yeah.
platform? But then also I'm like, I didn't
Yeah.
ask for a platform per se. Like my own
That's
personal
the
I'm like,
thing.
I'm just vibing over here. Like,
That's the thing. Like, I never asked for a platform. And I think people as well who did not know me, you now know me in real life. I don't think, well, I mean, I don't know if this is what you think or not, but I don't think when you hang out with me, you're like, this is a person that will go out and create a platform. Like, I'm
no.
not like, if anything, it actually gives me anxiety.
Bro, oh my God.
It actually gave
Genuine
me
conversation for
so
another day.
much anxiety to a point where now, because people have been like, oh, why are you so quiet? And I'm like, I don't think I can explain how much anxiety having that many people like tune in made me be like, okay, I do not want to share anything at all. So yeah, I wasn't after a platform, but I think also, again, when I brought it back to my vision, I went, well, I'm now responsible for it, and do I want to have something that can, do I want to build something that I'm going to destroy with my own mouth? Hell no.
Ooh.
So I was like, no, we
Yeah.
don't we don't want to do that. So I've gone back to really not sharing and not speaking a lot. Um, not posting nonsense because I'm like, what I'm trying to build or what I feel like I'm part of is much bigger than my need to share a joke. If I want to share a joke, I know my people. I know the crazy
Actually.
ones that I can go and send something to. So yeah, that's
Um,
sort of where I'm at now.
that reminded me of this scripture, although it's not gonna come, so it is what it is. Whatever. Anyway, moving on. Something about a wise woman builds her house and a foolish woman tears it down. Yeah. Yeah, tears it down with her own hands.
Yes.
And it's like,
Yes.
oh, okay,
Oh,
okay, let me not do that. Okay, so going to the empowerment workshops that you ran. So was the one in
mhm.
2020 the first time, or was it just the first one that got clout? Because
It was the first one that got clout. I think we had done two before that, if I'm not
mm,
mistaken. We had done two before that, but that one was the one that got clout first. Funny enough, that was meant to be such a small thing. It was meant to be the way
mm,
that God works, yeah, or the way that life works, whichever one you want to relate to. That was meant to be such a small thing, and also remember, well, I'm saying remember as if your audience will know, but you know this. I was heavily depressed at
yeah.
that time. So, funny enough, I was doing things because I was like, this would be what I do before I go.
Oh, that's not funny. We're not laughing because it's funny.
I'm
We're laughing
sorry.
because we have six sense of humor.
Um, so for me, that was meant to be such a small thing, like very, very minor. Like the person had just said, "Hey, really like." I'd met them at, I don't know, I think it was a networking event. I was just like, "I really like what you're doing. Do you mind if I just read a local story about it?" It was meant to be a local ABC on the ABC website kind of story. And then I remember like the night that it got, excuse me, she then reached out to me and she's like, oh, by the way, they want to put this on national. And I was like, what?
You're like, pardon?
Sorry, what?
National what?
I was like, national who? National YouTube?
That's
Facebook?
I
Like, what
knew.
do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And yeah, before I knew it, I was on national TV.
Dang. And then you went
Yeah,
viral. So see, you went viral. Why'd you make me
I
sound
did, I
crazy
did.
when I
I
said you
guess,
went
yeah,
viral?
yeah, I did. No, because I was like, well, I actually got viral.
Like I didn't
I
go
did
viral,
in
you
that
went viral.
moment.
You went viral.
I
Um,
did in that moment. So yeah,
outside of the clout of it
yeah,
all,
yeah.
what impact did that have in terms of the community that you were serving?
Don't know. I don't think I can answer that.
Really?
Yeah, 'cause I don't know what impact it's had.
That's insane.
I
I
don't. I genuinely don't. I do not know. Yeah, I don't.
I can speak from someone who watched from afar. First of all, one of my cousins is actually in the clip that they used, and you were teaching her how to do her makeup. Yeah. And I remember thinking this is so crazy, but I also remember thinking this is so beautiful that my auntie had like paid for them to come and to do that. And at the time, I think they would have
Oh,
been, this was 4 years ago. Yes, they would have been like 14-ish.
oh my God, is it the twins?
Yeah, the twins. Yeah.
Oh, they're one of my favorite kids. Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah,
And I
yeah. I
remember
do.
thinking, yeah, I remember thinking at the stage that they're at and in the environments that they're in, it's so beautiful that they get to come to an environment like that and
Yeah,
learn and feel comfortable and feel confident and feel empowered. So that when they do go back to wherever they're going, like there's still that, like they can hold on to those little moments. Because I feel like living in the systems and whatnot that we live in, I was trying to think, you watching me come up with the words living in the systems and whatever that we live within, you're really just stringing together little moments that, yeah, that make sense, that make you feel like you're finding belonging. And so I remember seeing that and thinking that's so beautiful. And then I remember seeing all the different people that had shared it and thinking this is striking. Like the timing of it all was insane. Someone really needs to study what happened in 2020 in Australia, particularly
I
because
think so too. I've been saying that. I think somebody needs to study 2020 in the black, like somebody needs to study the relationship between the Australian community and the migrant community in 2020. Because whatever was happening just sort of disintegrated really quickly. And I don't know what, I don't,
oh, yeah, there is definitely a level to that. I was
yeah.
speaking more so though
Mhm, mhm.
on the way I think everything felt more magical. Like everything felt like an act of
Oh,
resistance.
yeah.
So I remember seeing that and thinking, this is so beautiful. And I'm sure this is like sparked something for someone else to be like, this is something that I can do. Like I am willing to go to war with my African parents because I now want to, because the aunties were sharing that thing in the group chats. In-laws,
Yeah.
I know I saw it in-laws and the two, when I first of all, I feel like from your stories, you have some of the best clients.
I do. I'm obsessed.
No,
I
and
have,
as someone who has been a client, we're equally obsessed. On behalf of the other clients, we are equally obsessed.
I am so grateful. Do you know what? One thing that I really, truly appreciate, I have had, and I think it didn't sink in until I started struggling in life. I will never forget this. Okay, I'll give you two. Hey, there's too many, but I'll give you two that were like when I was at my worst in my at my bottom. I remember one day, this is like 2021. I'm in struggle town. I'm not working, like I'm focusing on business because I took a break from like, 9 to 5 work because of my mental health. And I didn't want to mess up my reputation within like, the
Yeah,
industry, so that I would be able to get jobs afterwards. Anyway, but I was in struggle town. I'd gone back to my old beat up car. I am like really like just pulling in whatever coins are coming in from clients and doing extra gigs and things like that. I go to a client. I was down to my last drove on fuel as well. Obviously, she was going to pay after, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I was on my last drop of fuel. I go to my client, we're talking. She's really like, she was just from the get-go, she was just so warm and so beautiful. And she wanted to talk more about mental health because she had younger kids, and she was asking me questions. So how do I explain it to them? All these different things. And then
Yeah.
when I was leaving, I remember her just saying to me, like, Rundi, I just wish you the best in your life, whatnot, whatnot. She gives me $50 extra because she was like, you traveled so far. Because at that time, my prices were quite low as well. She gives me $50 extra. She's like, you traveled so far. It was a hot day. Yes, $50. She comes out with a packet of Cerevita. Guys, we
Ah,
all know
uh-uh.
Cerevita is
That
a
is
love
the one.
language.
Forget the $50. Forget the $50.
We all know Cerevita. And honestly, I was more excited about the Cerevita than the $50 because Cerevita is such a love language for Zimbabwe. So I
100%.
was just like,
Everyone
what?
be holding on to that, especially with how much people just like to charge for it here in Australia. If you have Cervita
Yes.
holding on to it, you're not giving it
Like,
away.
you love me, love me, love me. Is it going to give me Cerevita? So yeah, she gave me Cerevita, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, it was just so beautiful. And I was so appreciative. I can't lie. I have had such beautiful clients. And I guess it goes back to the whole relationship thing because that's what I want if I could do it so perfectly, I would have that with every single client of mine that walks in
Yeah.
the door because that's the best part of doing makeup. I've gotten to watch some of my clients go from like their engagement to their wedding to their baby shower, second baby shower
Um,
to this and that. A lot of them like are now their kids, like the two twins that you were talking about.
yeah.
Me meeting her, the mom, was via me doing her makeup, and she was actually very instrumental, by the way, in those workshops. She did a lot of the designing, like the candle holders, the
Yeah.
nice portrait that said Anaka. So
Yeah.
I get treated to champagne. Guys, I can't lie. My clients, it's just, mwah, I love them.
You
I
said
really do.
top
I love my
tier.
clients.
No,
Top
you
tier,
attract
love
your
them.
vibe. You attract
Love
your
them. I'm
vibe.
here. Yes, I
You
do. I do.
mentioned
I
two
love them.
things in
Yes.
that I'm like, yes, let's talk about it. I'm glad you brought it up. Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, let's talk about prices.
Mm,
Okay, let's talk about
mm,
prices
mm, mm.
because first of all, charging your worth is one, and like talk us through, yes, figuring out because actually, you know what? This is even a soft spot because we've recently talked about this, weren't we? And I
We
said,
have. That's why I'm
stand
like,
10 toes
oh.
on the price you said people must pay. I said, stand 10 toes.
I'm like, oh. It look, when I started, I think because of how much influx of work was coming in, I got away with doing makeup for $80 for like almost 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
because I was constantly booked. I was constantly doing work. But what happened was when I went through my mental breakdown, it brought me into this newfound knowledge about life, balance, etc., etc. And I remember in 2021, I went through, I think I would, yeah, I was exhausted, like beyond exhausted. My body was breaking down, and I was considering quitting makeup because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't
yeah,
want to overcharge. I don't want to undercharge. I don't want to take on 20. I have no interest in doing 10 makeup appointments in one day. It's
yeah,
not good for me. My back is dying, my shoulder and all these different things. So I then decided to up my price. But do you know what was a bit sad and confronting? I remember going on these other makeup artists that I felt like I'm not a part at, but I felt like I could pull in and charge the same amount of money that they is charging.
yeah.
And I went and checked all the other black makeup artists as well because there's now quite a lot. I think the gap there is probably about $100
Ah,
average. Yes. In 2021, a lot of the makeup artists that I started with that were white or that were, and this is not to say like there's something wrong with them. It's just that that's what works for their community, and that's great. Like charge what you're worth. They were sitting on 170 to 210, some even $225 for a makeup appointment.
That's crazy.
I was sitting at 85.
85, not even 90.
Yeah,
You didn't even think to
not
add, let
even
me add the
90.
extra $5.
I didn't even add a little
She
$5,
said, actually, let me give you five-finger discount, 85.
you know? And I think that really broke my heart because I felt like, wait, so does this mean that if I remain as a makeup artist because of my skin color, I'm never going to be able to reach those heights of success? Which is why you see that Australian makeup artists are really able to sit there and tell you this is all I do. Because if you're charging $180, all you need is five clients, all you need is four clients,
We're
and
good
you're
to go.
good.
Yeah,
You're good to go. And you really, and they're not doing anything more special or applying products that are a little bit more expensive than what we're applying. It's the same stuff. It's pretty much the same. But I don't know. Anyway, I decided that I was going to raise my price and I raised them to $125, which is what they've been at for the past 2 years. I
mm,
am looking at raising them at the end of this year
yeah,
to something a little bit more. The reason why I went up to 125, there's a time when I brought it up to 180, and I had clients that had known me forever that were like, yeah, like
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
why were you like what was the problem, like why were
mm,
you. But then I also had clients that were like, okay, this is a lot, and I remember just saying, you know what, the ones that want to go, they can go. The
yeah,
ones that trust me, that know when I do makeup, well, I've done your makeup, so you know this. I am your I am your best friend when you're getting ready. That's the vibe that I bring in.
actual,
If you've ever gotten makeup done by me, you
literally.
know that's the vibe that I bring in. I'm oiling your skin, I am fixing up your hair, I'm
It is
fixing
full
up your
experience.
dress. Like that's the experience that I'm bringing. I'm literally me, your best friend, with you getting ready on a night out. We're kicking, we're having fun. So I was like, no, that entire experience, like I want to go in feeling motivated to provide that. So I ended up really bringing up my prices. I want to do so. It is just a bit hard because sometimes you're like, okay, how much standing on business am I needing to do? And is
Yeah,
standing on business going to leave me with like one to two guys,
yeah.
you know? But I don't know. It's just, it is what it is.
Do you think the pricing issue is less a you thing and more the community that you're serving and what they value these kinds of services at? And y'all gonna have to tune into part two to hear her answer to that question. All the details will be down below. For her Instagram, her business Instagram, and mine. Make sure you book her if you're in the Perth area, guys. She will slay your face.
Thank you.